Milano Centrale railway station in Italy. From here on we'll be taking a sleeper train all the way down to Sicily. This is a journey that's a distance of around 1500 kilometers. And we've spent more than 18 and a half hours on board of this train. This train also goes on a ferry. And yes, I know there are many videos about this train, but I just wanted to take it for myself as well. Buonasera from a beautiful Milano Centrale railway station, where we just stocked up some food because there's no dining car in this train. I'll tell you all about it in this video. Are you excited to go to Sicily?
I'm going to ready to sleep.
She's ready to sleep. Okay, well, let's get this video on the track and let's roll the intro. We arrived in Milan by InterCity train from Germany through Switzerland. And for this video I won't feature Milano Centrale railway station, even though it's beautiful. I did this already in the past, you can check out those videos. At the end of this video though, I will feature Catania Centrale railway station. We had some time left in Milan and we went obviously to the city. And when we came back at the railway station, our train was already standing here. These are the InterCity Notte, the Italian sleeper trains. Half of our train was heading to Palermo in Sicily and the other half to Catania and Siracusa. That's the part we took. You do find different classes on board of the Italian sleeper trains. Normally you might find 4 different classes or comfort categories, but on these sleeper trains you will only find 3. The seating carriage is not over here in these trains. At the outside it has been clearly marked that this is a night intercity, or InterCity Notte as they call it in Italy. You will find the comfort category that's just mentioned as comfort, and these are basically the couchette compartments. That are relatively nice, and the highest capacity on board of these trains can be found here. Then you also find something that's called deluxe, and these are basically the sleeper compartments. We also were traveling on one of these. However, this carriage here was heading to Palermo and did not have the most luxury cabins. Our carriage had that, but we didn't travel on those unfortunately. I will show you all when I show you the interior of the train. This carriage here had the newer livery of the InterCity and InterCity Notte trains. They were changing the branding, and well, this is basically the new branding. If we move on a little bit more, we get out at our carriage, where you will find 2 comfort categories mentioned at the side of the carriage. It's not this one over here, but the next one. You will find the so-called Excelsior class and Deluxe class. These comfort categories are pricier, but also book out relatively fast, because the capacity on both of these trains and those comfort categories is not that high. We were traveling in Deluxe class. Let me show you the interior of the train before we depart from Milan. Like pretty much all sleeper trains or night trains, you find different comfort categories. Within Italian trains, you will find 4 comfort categories in that sleeper trains though. However, on the routes between Milan and Sicily, you will only find 3. The lowest one is not there, and the lowest comfort category is basically a second class, normal intercity carriage. What is not that comfortable to travel overnight, but if you travel for short sections on board of these trains, in that way they can also be used as an intercity, so I think it will be a great addition to the regular trains. It's a pity you can't find that for that same reason. Let me move there. Quite loud. Quite loud over there. Anyway, the lowest comfort category in these InterCity Notte trains are the couchette compartments. You will find them for 4 people only on board of these trains, and I think that's way nicer. In many European countries you also find them for 6 people, even sometimes for 5, but I don't really like that. You find the cabin numbers over here, and then you have beds 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are a total of 9 cabins per carriage. Let me show you a little bit. I think I saw an empty one in next year. These were all closed, those from the previous carriage. But no, I found an empty one. I found an empty one a little bit further down there. I also, hopefully I can film in there if it's still open. But let me show you around here first. At the end of the hallway, you do find, well, this washing room over here. You have some running water, you can brush your teeth here at night, you can freshen yourself a little bit up. There's some soap, you can see some water, and obviously you also find the toilets around here. The toilets are located right over here. What is pretty fine, nothing really special. Carriage numbers will be displayed at the side as well, as you can see over here. And the way how they put the carriage number doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let me move to the other carriage around here. This one here is. No, these are the sleeping compartments still. You find, well, you have the cushion and then you have the sleeping compartments as a comfort category higher. We also stay in there. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but first let's focus on the cushion compartments and let me find one empty one. Okay, the cushion compartments. This one is still empty. I think people will be here soon, so let me do this quickly. Let me close it like this. I really like the way how they have this design, by the way. Like, this way you can close like this way you can also see through. I really like that. It's not really, closed door doesn't mean no contact with people over there. You can lock the compartments like this. If you're traveling alone, if you have this privately, I recommend you to do that at night. But most obviously, if you're traveling on board of these shared compartments, you share it with other passengers. So then just leave it open for obvious reasons. Above the entrance door, there's quite a lot of space for luggage over here. And you find here the light switches for the main light, and there's also some spots over here that don't work directly, or I think I'm doing something wrong. Let me see. Oh, I think it's one is up, one is... Okay, I get it. Yes. If you don't have the lights here on, then you can also have the night light. But that doesn't work if all the lights at the head are. So all beds do have a personal night light, so reading lights over here as well, as you can see. Then let me turn on all the lights so that it's easier to film. Over here you can control the temperature a little bit. There's also, I think it's a button to call the staff if needed. There's also kind of emergency, well, intercom for emergency cases, obviously. Probably you won't need that. I hope you won't need that as well. Then over here, at least for the upper beds, you find a small, well, place to put your glasses, to put a cup. I like it that you can have the cup holder in here as well. It's quite convenient. But what I miss is something like at the side where you can put, well, more things in though. Also for the upper beds, I don't see power sockets. Let's move to the other side. And over here you also have quite a lot of space for luggage. But don't miss out on the space for luggage below the bed over here. This is quite big as well, and I think below the beds you have more space than in the sleeping compartments, at least the one we have. You find a ladder for the upper beds, obviously, and at this side you find two very tiny litter bins and power sockets as well. I personally always bring a power bank as well that's fully charged and try to charge my devices as much as possible before I board the train. In general, I think this should work. I mean, these trains do look quite modern, they look quite well maintained, but especially sometimes if you have the older sleeping carriages, sleeper trains, then the power sockets are not working, so keep that in mind. I mean, it might be a little thing that's broken, right? But in general, it should work on board of these trains. These beds are a little bit harder than the sleeping compartments like we have. You get obviously a blanket, a pillow, or maybe well, blanket pillow. There's one bottle of water included over here, sleeping mask, and you get a sanitizing towel. We have a little bit more in the compartment when we stay. I will show you this all in a bit. But overall, I think these are quite convenient compartments. Oh, by the way, over here you can also use to lock it, or yeah, so you have two locks. Well, don't miss out on that. Probably I forgot some stuff, but I will use the voice over for that. For now, let's continue with this video and let me show you the rest of this train. Something quite important I forgot. The upper beds, as you can see, don't have a rail over here to hold you. So you can put these seat belts down and lock them over here. And there's another one over here. So this will stop you from falling down. This will catch you up. Of course, well, you shouldn't put a kid over here, but this will stop you from falling down. I think without this I wouldn't sleep very well over here. That's really it for these compartments. Let's continue with this video. Okay, I found some empty couchette compartments in the morning. Let me show you around really quickly for the day composition. This one here, the lower beds, or beds, birds, are still in the night composition. That means the back is a little bit more to the back, and well, this area here is coming more to the front, so you can lay down a little bit better. But if you basically push this one a little bit there, you pull the back more front, and then you have the day composition, and you can sit here quite comfortably, I have to say. You find 6 seats, 3 on that side, 3 on my side. And even though, I mean, you can pop this up a little bit. Over here you can see, I think the conductor can do this. Let me close the door, it's a bit easier to film, but the conductor can, well, lock it like this or unlock it. But even though they're standing like this, so they're not fully closed, the seat is quite comfortable, to be honest. If you're sitting here with 6 people, it might be a bit tight though. Something else you find in the middle seat is a table. Some tables are leaning a bit more, well, down, so keep that in mind, so watch out if you put the tables down. But this is quite comfortable as well. The ladder that was for the upper bed can be stored over here for this composition, or under the bed. And what else do I need to say about these couchette compartments? Especially for day composition, these are quite nice, to be honest. I hope you like this video so far. If you do so, or if it's a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up. Right now I'm on the ferry, and the train is also on the ferry, as you can see right behind me. If you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is long distance and or international traveling, but we definitely have a long distance train for this video. Then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. If you have some questions, feedback, comments, even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And for now, let's just continue with this video. Okay, so my girlfriend is basically waiting in the hallway so I can film the cabin here. You have the cabin numbers for the sleeping compartments, and you have the bed numbers, so 1, 2, 3. We have cabin number 2. And these cabins is the second highest comfort category in both these trains. And over here you find 3 beds. No matter for how many people you book it, you always have these compartments privately, and the same counts for the higher class. There's 1 bed over here, and 1 more here, and that one is not made for this trip. And the bed numbers can be found here. Not on the side over here. Anyway, at day composition you will have some chairs. I will show you that later on in the video. But this is the night composition. Well, you can fold it out and not fall out of the bed. You can fold it out. It's not super soft. I can tell you later on how good it was. But you get a blanket, a pillow, and this feels a little bit more premium than in the couchette compartments I showed you earlier on. Over here, there's a big mirror, of course, and here you will find a small sink. ideal to brush your teeth or so. Within these compartments you also get a little bit more amenities than in the cushion compartments. I will show you later on what's inside, but you get one of these per person. Some cups, a little bit of pity they use so much plastic though, but for hygienic reasons I understand. A water bottle, one I think with and one without gas. And that's it. For luggage, you have some space for luggage over here. We also used the space below the beds in these compartments is not that nuts, to be honest. It's quite disappointing, not disappointing, but if you have a big suitcase, it won't fit there. So my girlfriend, her suitcase doesn't fit here, unfortunately. You find a seat you can also use at the night composition, what's really nice as well. And a table over here. There are power sockets over there. And what I just noticed, over here there's a USB socket, USB-A. Well, I closed this one here. This is a little mini new project. I don't know if this is going to be a success or not, but I'll tell you in the video. It might be in the bottom part of this video, but I want to do some passenger POV videos. And just for entire train rides. I won't do this all with sound though. At least not for this journey, because we're also having our talks and everything. But well, more of that in other videos. Anyway, over here you have quite some space for luggage, the overhead area. You have some hangers. And over here you find light switches. One isn't working, I think. That might be this one here. I don't know if that's true, and maybe we'll find out tomorrow for other compartments. Then you also find small reading lights. Let me show you. Yeah, and they always seem to work in this situation. So the beds have small reading lights, and there are also power plugs right next to the beds. There is a ladder for the upper beds as well, especially for that one will be a bit hard to climb up. And you find the ladder right over here. It's a little bit hidden though. And you can go connect it to the area over here. I think for now it's about time to go to bed, and I'll show you more of this train later on. Okay, time to open up the amenity kits. Let's see what's inside. Here we go. Don't expect too much though, but a sleeping mask just like in the cassette compartments. A soap bar, sanitizing towel, I think a toothbrush. Open this up, saying this the toothpaste is plastic, but that's I think quite difficult otherwise. Although there are some solutions, but it's at least it's organic. And also this comes in a plastic bag, but still, I like it. So, almost ready for the night. Are you ready too? Good. Pity that they don't have double beds though, but you can do with this for one night.
The next morning.
Our breakfast has just been served. Tea, coffee. And what else do we have? Some fruit juice, one per person. Very sweet organic plum cake with yogurt thingy. Some crackers. Cutlery, I think. And then at last this juice, different than what it looks. I think these are very small kind of biscuits or so.
I think you could put the butter.
I think so too, huh? And do we have butter? Yeah, no, we have jam. We have here, also organic, by the way. It looks good. This will, should we make your bed as well, then we can sit a bit more comfortable?
You can sit there if you want. I can sit on my bed.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's it. Let's continue with this video for now. Well, it's the next morning. Let me walk quickly to the cabin next to us. The woman just left a couple of days ago. By the way, there's also a free newspaper. Well, hang it in front of your cabin. I was hanging here, but because I have this camera here now, I just hang it a little bit more at the side. Let me show you this cabin here. Let me turn on the lights. It's a bit easier. We're in a tunnel right now. Oh, here we go. You can, well, at the door you find a small peek, or you can have a look on the hallway. Actually, the camera doesn't work that well, but you can see pretty good. There's a map of the train. You can also see different kind of cabins. I hope I can get back later to that in this video as well. This way you can lock the cabin. I really recommend you to do that at night. You know, better safe than sorry. In general you should be fine, but sometimes you hear these stories that are not so positive, so just better lock it at night, even if you're a night sleeper. Then, I have to say, the curtains, it works pretty well, but they're still leaking some light, and you can see a little bit of the shadow of this, so it's not really blocking all the light here. So keep that in mind as well. I mean, they have the sleeping masks. And also, well, I already mentioned this before, but you have next to the beds, you have all the power sockets. You have one here as well. We're close to the sink and the garbage bin area, and there are two over here. And there's one USB-A socket over here. So 6 power sockets and one USB-A socket. What's quite impressive. I don't know if these carriages are relatively new or if they refurbished them, but in that sense they really meet the modern day standards. There's no Wi-Fi though, but well, with good mobile unlimited data, I don't think that's really needed. Although I have to say that the network coverage is not always that great during this ride, at least. Just take some books. What is a thing for the sleeping compartments, or at least how they advertise it, is that you will have a real mattress on board of the train. And yes, that's true. There's not a single lie about that. These, oh, let me show you. These are real mattresses. However, a real mattress can be soft or very hard, and these mattresses were not super comfortable, to be honest. They're quite hard. I mean, we eventually I slept quite well, I have to say, but if you stay several nights on a sleeper train like this, it's not my how I really like to travel for a longer time. But if you have during a longer journey some individual nights on a sleeper train, that's totally fine to me. Let me go to our cabin. Let me turn off the lights here. Let me go to our cabin. It's a little bit messy though, but we have the day composition, as you can see here. So we have 1, 2, 3 seats. And in a way it also makes sense you have 2 power sockets over there, because for the day composition, well, it's a little bit closer to the seat. And over here, the USB-A socket again, what's next to this seat. So for this seat you can just use the power socket for the lower bed. Also, if you put it at day composition, the bed numbers are much more clear. So 21, 22, 23. What is also not that obvious for sleeper trains, because in many European sleeper trains you have, for example, 21 on this side, 22 at the next cabin, and then there might be an interchange door. Then you have 23 here again, 24 at the other side. Well, you get it. Just like in the couchette compartments. So yeah, this might be a little bit different. If at first when I saw 21 and 22, I was like, okay, should be right, should be correct, right? But it's good. Probably I forgot some other things, but I will use a voiceover for this because this part takes too long already. And I haven't done a toilet review, I think, or maybe I already did. I don't know. Let me do that right now, and I will use a voiceover for that, because talking to the toilet is a little bit strange, right? Well, even though I showed you the toilet already in the couchette compartment carriage, this one is not that much different. The toilets are pretty fine, and they kept them relatively clean during our trip. There's also a small sink in the toilet, just like in our compartment, and you find a 120 volt and 220 volt plug for a razor. So that's also ideal for international travelers. For the rest, these toilets are pretty fine, nothing special or I can mention about it what's very unique or so. Opposite from the toilet in our carriage at least, there was a special area for the train staff. They can also sleep here if they put the beds down here on the right. Well, in the carriage we also had the more luxury cabins, and those cabins do have a shower and ensuite toilet as well. We were traveling with the use of Interrail, that's the same thing as Eurail, and if you're traveling with Eurail and Interrail you cannot book those. For those cabins that are mentioned as Excelsior, you need to buy individual tickets. Later on we also walked through the train, and I also noticed that the sleeping carriage for the Palermo section was having a different layout, and like the seat numbers I showed you earlier on. These cabins also look slightly different, although after someone slept in here it's kind of messy. In terms of composition, this is more what you can expect on the classical trains, and what I later understood from other people who traveled on board of these Italian sleeper trains is that these mattresses on board of these specific carriages are slightly better than what we had. Also, the layout is slightly different on board of these sleeping carriages. At the moment we left Milan, it was already getting dark, so I didn't film that much from the train. However, the next morning, the views from the train were really stunning, to be honest. And our train will also go on board of a ferry, what is quite unique. This is, as far as I know, the only place in Europe where this is still left. And yes, I know there are many other train vloggers who made videos about these trains on these routes at least. And yeah, I'm doing it as well. Not very unique, I know. Anyway, for now I'll just show you some views from the train, and I'll be back with you at the moment the train is arriving at the ferry terminal. Here, the train is arriving at the railway station of Villa San Giovanni. This is the part where you find the narrowest part of water between Sicily and the mainland of Italy, so also the most obvious spot for the ferry connection. And if there are delays, this spot here is causing bigger delays, because the ferries are based on the timetables for the trains. And well, if there's no spot on the ferry, or well, other trains have delays, whatever, this might make the whole timetable quite unreliable. The trains from and to Sicily are known for having quite some delays. However, the experience of this train on the ferry is really nice, and if you just want to travel faster without the trains, I just advise you to take a direct ferry from, for example, Naples to Sicily, or the other way around. You will find quite some ferry companies operating from and to Sicily. We took a Grimaldi Lines ferry on the way back, where I have very mixed feelings about, so I advise you to look for the other companies, but I have a video on that as well. On the ferry that takes the train, you will not find electric overhead wires for the engine of the train, so a diesel-powered locomotive will be attached to move our train around, and our train will be separated in several parts, and well, will be shift up and down to be on the ferry for the trains itself. At the station, some basic wires and cables of the train will be disassembled. So at the moment the train is at the ferry, it's just a matter of take one hook of the carriages off and then move the train around. After our stop at the station, our train was slowly being moved to the loading area for the ferries. The train you see right here, by the way, came off the ferry that we will be taking today. And I think as a food passenger, you can also take these ferries that we'll be taking today. And the other train that just came off the ferry was a regular day intercity train. Those trains do have much higher capacity than the sleeper trains that we'll be taking today, by the way. Our train was being pushed slowly on board of the ferry. The ferry itself is not that long, the train is way longer. So this also means that they need to cut these trains into separate, smaller portions. And this is something that has been prepared already at the railway station of Villa San Giovanni, so the whole process can be way faster. The carriages that were at the back when we left from Milan were, well, detached from the rest of the train, and then our part of the train was being put out of the ferry. They changed the tracks, and then another 3 carriages were being pushed back onto the ferry again. And they repeated this process with some other parts of the train as well. In total, our train was being split into 3 different sections. And at the moment we arrive in Sicily, the whole process will be repeated again. Well, at least a kind of. Because Messina, what is by the way the 3rd biggest city of Sicily where we arrive by ferry, at this station the train will be split into 2 sections. One part that has Palermo as the final destination, and one part that has Siracusa as the final destination. And that was also the part where we were traveling on. We were heading to Catania for today's journey. Anyway, let's head up to the general area on board of this ferry. There are quite some seats over here, really a lot of seats. I bet that no train is big enough to accommodate all seats over here. But once again, as far as I know, you can also take this ferry as a food passenger. Then there's also a small bar. It's not that much, but if you want to buy some snacks and drinks, you can do that over here. That's not possible on board of the train, so I really like it that you will find it here. Of course, no train tour is complete without showing you the toilets, so let's review the toilets over here as well. And to be honest, nothing really special. Although I do have a very strong point of criticism. Because at the women's toilet, you will find a diaper changing facility for babies. But not at the men's toilets. Especially as a soon-to-be father, I don't think this is acceptable. It's both parents, their role to take care of the kid and also to take care of poo-poo. I mean, I have to mind my words, otherwise I get demonetized on YouTube for using the wrong word. The ferry crossing doesn't take long, it's about 20 minutes. At the moment we arrive, the kind of same process will be done again. The train will be put together, and for this part, the train will be basically into 2 sections. One part with the final destination Palermo and one part with the final destination Siracusa via Catania. What I haven't mentioned yet, by the way. This train started at around 8 o'clock in Milan, and until a little bit after 12 at midnight, the train has some stops. The first stop in the morning is around 6:15, and from the first stop, that is a little bit south from Naples in the city of Salerno, the train makes many stops at smaller stations along the way. From the first station in the morning, people can only unboard this train, so you cannot board this train. If people didn't book tickets to specific stations, the train will just skip those stations. So let's say you booked a ticket to the final destination and you need to be actually at a smaller station along the way. Then you need to inform the train staff, otherwise the train might skip your station. This was also happening during our trip. Quite some stations were being skipped. We were actually pretty much on time until the railway station of Messina, what is the first station within Sicily. But from there on, we were basically too early at all stations. And another point of criticism when it comes to that. They didn't make any announcements during our ride at least. Thank goodness we were paying attention to this. I mean, even if it's just for the fact that I just film a lot. But we arrived about 15 minutes earlier at our final destination than we should have been there. If I wouldn't pay attention to this, we might have really missed it. Here, our train is being pulled in at the railway station of Messina Centrale. Later on, the other part of the train, that was basically 3 carriages that were heading to Palermo, were being pulled in at the other side of the platform. And after that, we continued our journey for the last stretch of this ride. What was still a beautiful train ride, I have to say, along the coast. I'll get back to you at the very end of the video, where I share some more last final opinions about this train journey, and also show you briefly though the railway station of Catania Centrale. Here, our train is arriving at the railway station of Catania Centrale, the main railway station in the second biggest city of Sicily. And really short, my conclusions about this train journey. Was it nice? Yes. However, the mattresses were quite hard, I have to say, but from what I've heard, this also depends on the type of sleeping carriage you have. But, well, we just had hard mattresses and I just share my experience. Also, when it comes to travel time, normally if you take a sleeper train, a longer travel time is fine. I mean, you sleep and travel at the same time. What is really time efficient? You travel from city center to city center. However, this train also goes on a ferry and it's quite a long distance, and therefore the travel time, well, it's nice for the experience, but if you just want to be somewhere fast, I don't recommend you to take this specific train from Milan to Sicily. If you want to travel by train and you want to take a sleeper train and be more time efficient, then I would say take a high-speed train to Rome and take a sleeper train from there. You can also take the same sleeper train from Naples, by the way. And honestly, I also think it would be great if they would attach one seating carriage that could function like a regional intercity train, or for a regional train, I don't care, but to pick up passengers and drop off passengers within Sicily and also from to the southern part of Italy to Sicily as well. Anyway, let's review the railway station of Catania Centrale. I won't spend much time on this because it's not very big. At the front you will find bus stops, a pick-up and drop-off zone for railway passengers by car, and also a taxi stand. There is a small eatery in this railway station, but that's basically the only spot where you can buy some food and drinks. There's a small terrace at the front of the railway station, and here on the right you will find the, bar where you can pick up things. It's structurally chaotic over there. I guess that's just Italy. More or less at the middle of the railway station building, there's this waiting area over here. And by the way, screens with information about departing and arriving trains can be found everywhere. Free Wi-Fi should also be available, although I did not test it out. Vending machines for tickets and also staffed ticket counters are available in the main concourse as well. Although I do have to say the infrastructure to buy your train tickets online within Italy is very good as well. My personal favorite website to book train tickets within Italy is Trainline. You will find an affiliate link to Trainline in the description of this video. What I don't like about Catania railway station, you will not find elevators or escalators to the other platforms that are not located right next to the front of the railway station. So in terms of accessibility, there's still some improvements to make. And if you travel with heavy luggage like what we had, this is quite disappointing. And for railway geeks, at the side of the railway station, a little bit hidden, you will find an old engine that's being exhibited here. It's basically rusting away. Close to the railway station, a little bit more at the front, you will find the underground of Catania, so the metro. We took the metro as well to the city center, even though it was only one stop for us. But with luggage, it was way easier. That's it for this video on board of the InterCity Notte from Milan to Catania. It continues to Siracusa. We got out here in Catania, and actually I'm already on my way for the next trip. We take a ferry to Malta, so we need to take a train first to Pozzallo. Will be another video about that. We spent some really nice days here in Catania, and also took the Etna railway line. Probably will also be a video about that. For now, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it or this has been helpful to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And if you like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is long distance and or international traveling. To show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation, because we need to change our behavior. Then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. Before we really end up this video, one last thing. Once again, thank you for watching. If you're interested in other videos, once again you can subscribe, and in the description of this video you find a link to a map, and on this map you can find all videos as well. If you want to see the views from the train, so passenger POV, I do have another channel, and you can find that channel in the description of this video as well. See you on the next video.